Let's see. Trying to get my lighting together. Anyway, okay. What's up, everybody? It's Shay. Um, I was gonna do this the other week, but had some technical issues, so I'm doing it now. Whatever. Um, anyway, so I saw a few uh documentaries and life stories about people either my age or around it in the last week or so, and just with a lot of things that have been going on recently, uh, I decided to put my story out there as well because I'm tired of my name, I guess, being misused or me being put in situations that are unnecessary and have nothing to do with me. So, um, okay, so starting from the beginning, first of all, I was born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. Um, I was raised by my grandparents off and on, but the majority of my life I was with them, um, and my mom. So starting from the beginning, uh, from as young as I can remember, uh, I want to say I was maybe like 2 years old. Um, I had my um, like I remember staying with my mom and my dad. Uh, that was the only time that I know that they were actually together. Um, but I stayed with my mom and my dad in a little apartment. Um, and my older brother was with me as well. Um, and there was the first incident that I remember that was kind of like, okay, like why did I get in trouble for that type deal? I want to say I was around maybe like 4 or 5 years old. Um, there was this boy. I didn't know it was a crush or that I liked him, whatever. But um, it was one of my mom's friends' sons, and I liked him because he had green eyes. Like I don't know, I was attracted to that. Like it was like I had never seen that before. So to me, he was pretty, and um, I just associated with that. But uh, my older brother was like, well, you like him or whatever. So if you like him, you'll do X, Y, Z. Um, and I'm just like, okay, like, uh, I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it, whatever. I like him, okay. Um, but what he told me to do is, I guess, kiss uh his area. Like I said, I was like 4 at this time, so I'm like, okay, they told me to do it, said it was okay, I did it. And then, he my brother ran in the house and told my mom, and you know I got in trouble because I did it, and I was listening to him. But he didn't get in trouble for telling me to do it, and the little boy didn't get in trouble for actually pulling down his pants so I could. You know what I'm saying? Um, but after that, I kind of I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to listen to what my brother says anymore because I kind of started learning early on that I would get in trouble for that. So um, I went and um, from there, like I say, I got in trouble. Like, I mean, I got popped. When I say I got in trouble, I mean, I got popped. I got yelled at or whatever. Um, and then uh, I don't really remember my dad being there too much afterwards. Um, but as I grew up, I realized that was because, he was in and out of jail the majority of my youth. So I didn't really get to know him like that. But moving on, I went to uh, I went to uh, my grandparents. And hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going? um, but I I went to my grandparents, and uh, um, hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? But yeah, so I went to my grandparents' house from there uh, for a little while, and I know that, like, when I would go to my grandparents, like, the way their house was set up, the driveway was like right outside of um like their bedroom window. So I would go and go to the window whenever my mom would drop me off, and just stare out the window like, she's leaving me forever type deal. Like, and I would just sit there and cry my little heart out or whatnot. Um, and like I said, I just felt like she was leaving me. Okay, so um, I always felt bad because I never really understood why she was dropping me off. But we'll get to that here in a second. But like, so um, I would get dropped off at my grandparents' house. My mom would go do whatever. And like I said, after my dad was out of the picture, from my knowledge, I want to say I was maybe like around the 4 or 5 year age range. I went. Oh, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. But I went to stay with my mom, and I don't know exactly where we were, but I remember that like, we were at one of her boyfriend's mom's house, I want to say. um like, I just remember it was like some kind of upstairs room kind of deal, like a like kind of like an attic, or if they had like an upstairs room, like kind of like the Home Alone room where, they went upstairs. Like, it was kind of like that somewhat. But I don't I don't know, like, if dude just didn't like kids, or he just didn't like us, because, whatever. Like, like, he just wanted to be with my mom. He wasn't trying to bring kids on at the same time. I don't know. But I uh remember, when my brother and I, we used to suck our thumbs or whatever. He didn't like that. So to make us stop, like, he would do stuff like put hot sauce on our thumbs or our fingers and stuff. Like, he put pepper on there or whatever, like, whatever, to make us stop. And then we moved from his mom's house to uh it was a house, ironically, that uh my dad and his girlfriend had lived in at one point. But we moved to this house, and I remember, like, it was kind of like we were made to go to sleep. um like, kids are hyperactive or whatever. We running around. It was three of us at that time. Myself, my brother, and my sister. um Mind you, it's eight of us all together. Okay. But at the time, it was just me, my brother, and my sister, at this house with my mom and her boyfriend. His name was Tim at the time. We were there, and, like, I don't know. I can't, speak for her as what was going on or whatever. But um, like, I remember being lined up like in like a single foul line for whatever reason, and like we would get Tylenol PM, like we were given Tylenol PM, so we would go to sleep or whatnot, and we went to sleep. Of course, I don't know what they would do. You know what I'm saying? But uh, I mean, we were kids. Uh, there were times like we were doing things we weren't supposed to or whatever. Again, I know I said I wasn't gonna listen to my brother again, but of course I did. Trying to fit in kind of or whatnot, and so this one particular night, adults being adults, if you catch my drift. Um, um, so we went to, uh, like, my brother was like, hey, they're, you know, and I don't know why, he wanted me to tag along to see that or whatever, but I think, like, it was kind of the mindset of if I get in trouble, we all get in trouble, whatever. So, um, we called him one night, got beat for that. Uh, then, uh, my sister, she's a toddler at this point, still potty training and everything. And everybody has accidents, everybody had accidents. But she would have an accident or whatever, and he like come in there full force, ready to beat ass, like off gate. Um, and I remember, and I was just, what, 3, 4 years older than her. I would literally like shield her so that she wouldn't get popped. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a baby. I understood that. I don't know why no one else did, but it was like we weren't we weren't uh protected in a way, if you want to say that. Like I felt like we should have been, but we weren't. And my mom would like, she wouldn't really come to the rescue, but me as a kid would have to protect my little sister. Like that's what my job is as a big sister. That was my job, so that's what I did. And like I don't know what happened between them as to why uh he was out of the picture, but you know he was gone after a while. I don't remember him really putting his hands on my mom, but I know he for sure like would just beat the mess out of us, and we didn't really have anybody to protect us from that, including my mom. So like then we moved to this other place, this other house, and yet again another guy came into the picture, um, which, mind you, from as young as I can remember, like when I was able to speak, I guess, I would tell my mom, I like you better by yourself, and that's crazy how I noticed like a lot of things, because when I was little, I wasn't really listened to. I didn't. No one really paid attention to me or whatever. Like if I did try and say something or speak up or whatever the case may be, like I was ignored pretty much. So um, I didn't really talk a lot. Like I was real quiet. Um, I never really expressed myself because again nobody listens. So um, this new guy, his name was Troy, um, came into the picture, and again I don't remember him putting his hands on my mom or whatever, but I do know that he moved in with us in this new place, and this around this time, I was like 8 years old, and that's when I had my first attempt. Um, I know I started realizing that there was a lot of argument between my mom and my grandparents, and uh, I knew that that was I figured out, after listening to them for a while, that the common denominator out of all their arguments was me. And so uh, with that, um, I tried to take myself out of the picture. Because I mean, at the same time, you can definitely say that it was my fault that that happened, because I didn't understand the concept at the time of and I don't really know if this is said in just every household or if it's just black households or whatever, but I do know the standard is whatever goes on. The saying is like, whatever goes on in this house pretty much stays in this house. Like, it's kind of like Vegas in a black household. Like, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. So basically, don't matter what happens. Like, don't take it outside of the household and tell somebody else what's going on. So um like I but I didn't understand that concept because I was still young, and I just know that I was upset because, kind of, like a kid, you don't get your way, you get upset about it. So um things that went awry at my mom's house, I would go back and tell my grandparents and vice versa. And so again, they started arguing, and a lot of the arguments were in regards to me. So I said, well, if I'm out of the picture, they don't have anything to argue about. So that was my first attempt there. Um, and uh, I went to I, w- I went to I went to sorry about that. Um, but I went to the bathroom, like, after everything happened that first time or whatnot. Like, I remember just going in the bathroom, like, I was just crying for like hours or whatnot, because I kind of, I got scared. um I don't know if you want to say that's like why I have like a fear of death now. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but um yeah, I did, like, I attempted, and like, I went in the bathroom and cried about it. I didn't tell anybody because, again, whenever I did try and express myself, like, nobody listened, and I felt like nobody cared. So um, I just kept that to myself. And um, when I went from uh, I went from there and just went in my room and stayed by myself, went to sleep, and I guess tried to forget it. And I remember vividly that night, like, I had a dream, and like I saw like the gates. You know what I'm saying? Like, legit. Like, it's like, when they say people have like a near death experience and they see like the gates of heaven or whatever. Um, like, I literally saw like the golden gates or whatever, but they didn't open for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, as a kid, I'm thinking like, you know, what does that mean? Like, did I die in my sleep and go to heaven, but the gates didn't open, so now I'm going to hell? Like, what does that mean? But I didn't really understand it, and so um I went to I just kept that all to myself, and I woke up and I was just like, okay, whatever, continue life. Like, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. So um I dealt with that for some years. um and then but anyway, so back to, like, after that happened, um this guy apparently convinced my mom to go to Cali with him or whatnot. And I just remember her coming and telling me, my brother, and my sister, um that They were going to California for about a week to find us a house and all this stuff, and then they were gonna come back and get us, and we all be one big happy family, whatever. And this was back in the times where food stamps were like legit, like it looked like Monopoly money, like it's little sheets of paper or whatever that had like it looks like it was like money, but it looked like Monopoly money, like it had like different colors and stuff like that. So like she left us, I guess, some stamps or whatever for the week so we could get food and everything. And um like we, you know, survive for a little bit. You know, we walk to the store, get us something to eat, whatever, come back. Um, and you know, 1 week turned into 2 weeks, turned into 3 weeks, and I remember, you know, before my mom left, you know, I was like, well, I don't think I said it, but you know, one of us was like, well, who's gonna be here with us? You know what I'm saying? And she was like, you know, our cousin was supposed to come. Now I remember my cousin was there for maybe like a few days, but I don't remember what happened. But she ended up leaving, so it was just us by ourselves. And like I said, a week turned into 2 weeks, 2 weeks turned into three, and so forth. And you know, at this time we had been ran out of the food stamps. Uh, we didn't have any money to get anything at store. I mean, like we were doing what we could to feed ourselves, and you know, our little sister or whatever. Um, so I mean, that's where, you know, the stealing started. Um, you know, stealing food or candy bars or whatever the case may be, something that was easy for us to make at our ages, which was at the time, uh, I believe it was 5, 9, and 10. So you can imagine how fun that was. We trying to get food and stuff, mainly to feed my little sister, but you know, feed ourselves too. And it went from there to getting like our teachers started noticing because we were eating like, you know, like paper or whatever, like I guess trying to sustain ourselves or whatnot. And although they didn't really work, um, I don't remember exactly how long it was before our teachers intervened and was like, well, something is going on because, you know, this isn't real, you know, this isn't the way that we acted or whatever. So um, they sent, like, I guess, like a teacher's assistant or whatever to us to watch, you know, I guess what happens. And so they saw us, like when we got off the bus, they saw us go in the house or whatever. But I don't know if it was like, you know, they were expecting, you know, a parent to come out and be like, you know, okay, hey, like, thanks for dropping my kids off, whatever, whatever, or what the case may be off the bus. But, you know, they noticed that wasn't happening. And next thing I know, uh, you know, the police are there and all this stuff. And I'm assuming that we went downtown, but I don't exactly know. All I know is next thing it was, you know, CPS was involved, and they were like, you know, if someone from our family didn't come and claim us, that we would be split up, like, or we would be put in foster care, not split up, but we would be put in foster care where we more than likely would be split up. So um, that's how my grandparents got me. My maternal grandparents got my brother, and my sister went with her dad, and that's how we ended up where we were. Now, um, since uh, on my dad's side of the family, like I'm one of the younger kids on my dad's side, and on my mom's side, uh, I mean, we would do fun stuff like, you know, go to grandma's house and have cousins days and all this other stuff or whatever. But like it was kind of like cliquish, somewhat like high school cliquish type. Like we we were treated accordingly based upon what family raised us, I guess. Like, my sister and I were not raised by um, my maternal grandparents and my mom's side of the family, so therefore, you know, they handle their own kind of deal. And my sister and I were kind of like, I'm not gonna say outcasted, but like, you know, we were on the outside, kind of. And me more so, apparently, to my understanding nowadays. But anyway, so we were all split up in the different parts of the family or whatnot. And like I said, I ended up with my paternal grandparents. Um, I'm 35 now. um, but I ended up with my paternal grandparents, and uh, the fact that I was with them for so long, like I call them my parents. Like they were my parents because they raised me. You know what I'm saying? So um, I was there with them, but I still had that longing to have like a family, like in the, I guess, the traditional sense, like with my mom and my dad being there together. And if I couldn't have that, I at least wanted one of them. And like I said, my dad wasn't in the picture, so the only parent that I did have to lean on was my mom. And so, um, you know, I will not say that I was the best grandchild to them, because I mean, there are plenty of times that, you know, I wish I could go back and take back what I said or what I did to them or whatever, because I was angry and I was upset that um, my parents weren't together or in the picture. So I uh, I acted out a lot. Like, I went through therapy sessions, I went through anger management and everything. And I don't know if you all believe in the paranormal stuff or whatever. I know I do. But I've had like the experiences where I've seen and heard spirits. Like, case in point, uh, let's say one. I mean, I've seen everything from uh, ghosts running down the street. You know, I've seen a silhouette of my grandmother walking down my hallway. You know, I heard the stairs creaking because I at my grandparents' house it was 3 levels, so I had like the top level, and anytime somebody walked up the stairs, like, you could hear the stairs creaking to indicate that somebody was walking. So I heard the stairs creaking, and I'm thinking that my grandmother was coming upstairs to watch TV or whatever, as she would normally. But I look up and there's a white silhouette of her coming down the hallway, and I'm sitting here like, what the heck, you know? And I covered my head and like said like a quick prayer for maybe like 30 seconds or whatever. Took it down, nothing. There was nothing there, you know, like stuff like that. So, um, I dealt with that as a kid, and like I said, I wasn't really listened to. So when I did try and express that to like my brother and my cousins and all that stuff like that, like, they laughed at me, you know, like nobody really took me seriously. Like, yeah, right, you can hear and see stuff, like whatever, whatever. And like, so um I don't really remember uh how that really occurred at that point in time, but um I was over at my aunt's house, and it just so happened that there was a really really bad episode that I had. And uh it just so happened that the pastor, my aunt's pastor, was at the house. And my brother and my cousins, everybody got all scared and ran out, you know, because they finally believed that something was going on. And they ran and told the adults, and they came in there and like legit had to form like a prayer circle around me. It wasn't like an exorcism or anything like that, but they had to put like a prayer circle around me, and they just prayed for me until I fell asleep. Like, I was exhausted. And like, I didn't have any of those issues afterwards, but like you would think when I tell you something is going on that you would actually listen to me now, but that wasn't the case. So at this time is when I actually started writing like my poems and my music and stuff, because that was kind of like my escape as to how um like I was able to escape my reality at the time. And so I started writing at 8 years old. Um, and, uh, I would be in, my room at my aunt's house or whatever, and, playing on my keyboard, coming up with new music and stuff like that, and writing songs or whatever. And, like, I don't know why, but like when I say everybody in the family on my mom's side was legit, like at my aunt's house, like living at my aunt's house at the time, everybody was living at my aunt's house. And now how all of us fit in that, I mean, the house wasn't small, but it wasn't big either. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like a three or four bedroom house or whatnot with maybe like 7 adults and their partners and all of us kids. Like it was a lot. So um like my aunt heard me playing, and she kind of started picking on me about my music. Like, why are you writing about that? What do you know about that? And get giggy giddy goo, like everything is hilarious. Like, and that was me expressing my life, like what I was going through, and again trying to get that off my chest, because I realized that me making music and poetry and stuff and expressing myself in that way was really my escape, and the way that I was able to get things off my chest, whether that was in a positive or a negative way or whatever. That's what I did. So um I tuned her out and everyone else, um and I went to uh I ended up back at my grandparents' house for a little bit. And I remember one day I was in class, and they called down and was like, hey, can you send me up to the principal's office? And I'm thinking, snap, I'm in trouble. Like, what did I do? And when I walked out the door, there was my mom. Like, it had been maybe like two years at this point since I had seen my mom, like physically seen her in person. And like I broke down, you know what I'm saying? Like I was in tears, like I was hugging her, like I never wanted to let her go. Um hey, how's it going? Um like I was in shock because she was there, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, at the time I was staying with my grandparents, so I didn't really want to. I like my mom is back, okay, like everything's going back to normal. And so uh, she surprised me. Then we went to my brother's school and surprised him, and it was like, okay, everything's about to be peachy king again. Like I don't know what happened to dude or whatnot, but apparently, the whole time that they were out there, he had been like beating her. Um, and like she says that he beat her and she was locked in a closet and stuff. Like sometimes she was able to eat, sometimes she wasn't, forced drugs and all this stuff on her. Like she had a whole ordeal. And I was like, like I'm not letting you out of my sight again, pretty much. Like you're safe here, stay here, whatever. And like I said, this whole time, you don't need a man, so all was well for a little bit. After that, I ended up moving back with my mom, who had moved in with my aunt, and that's how we are here where we are now, with all 200 people in the house. It wasn't that many, but exaggerating. And I remember I was at the house by myself one night, or I was there with my mom, but she was out in the living room, to my understanding, and I was in my room. And I came out, and it was dark, kind of like it is now. Like you see, it's dark, you know what I'm saying? So but it was like a silhouette of a light that was shining through like the kitchen, but the living room area was dark. And I remember coming out and I see this man sitting on the couch, and I'm like, who the heck are you? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, where's my mom? And he's like, oh, she just went to the store. Like, she'll be back in a second. Now, mind you, at this time, I'm around maybe 11 years old. I mean, granted, I may have been old enough at the time to stay home by myself, but why would you leave your 11-year-old daughter at home by themselves with the grown ass man? So I immediately went back in my room and locked my door because I don't know who this dude is. I don't trust this dude. Like, where's my mom? And so, come to find out, dude was her new boyfriend. Uh, his name was Larry, and he joined the Brady Bunch at my aunt's house. And I'm just like, okay, but I I've always had this gift of an empath since I was a kid. If you don't know what an empath is, basically that means like you get energy, like you can feel certain energies and vibrations and feelings and things like that from people, even if they can't feel it or before they feel it or whatever. But you get inklings about people from their energy. And off gate, I did not like dude. Like, I never got a good vibe from him, which is why, again, I immediately went into my room. Like, I probably would have done that anyway, but I really didn't like the vibe that I got from him. So I went back in my room and locked the door. And like I said, he ended up moving in, and I don't know how she didn't see it, but, um, you know, this was around the time that that movie, Woman Thou Art Loose, came out. And it was a part in there where the little girl was raped by her mom's boyfriend or whatnot. And when she tried to tell the mom or whatever, the mom like went off on her and told her, called her a liar and said that she wasn't telling the truth, blase blase. And like, the girl was broken from then on out. And I remember I watched that movie with my mom, and I told her, I asked her, I was like, if something ever happened to me like that or whatever, like, would you believe me, or what would you do? And she was like, I'll protect you or whatever, like, ain't nobody just gonna do that to my kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll kill somebody. And I was like, okay, I felt confident with that answer. But here comes Larry, and uh I went to, like, I noticed every time like he went to the store or whatever the case may be, he always wanted me to go. And I thought that was so weird. Like, why do you want me specifically? Like, as all these other kids, like boys as well, other girls or whatever, like, why do you want me specifically to go with you? And not my mom, but me specifically. And like, I never liked going anywhere with him, especially by myself, but apparently it didn't matter, you know what I'm saying? So uh here comes this one day, he asked me to go to the store with him. And as uneasy as I was with going, I was like, whatever, okay. So we get in the car, and he's like, oh, let me help you with your seatbelt, and does like, one of these numbers, you know what I'm saying? Like putting the seatbelt on or whatever, but like he's grazing my breast. Like, he didn't grope him or anything. He didn't, do anything further than that, because first of all, I wasn't gonna allow that. But like, I mean, smooth, like, rubbed across my breast, like, to help me with my seatbelt, as if I'm not old enough to do that shit myself. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, like, I immediately took the seatbelt off and got out the car, and I went in the house and told my mom, like, dude just put his hands on me, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, he wouldn't do that, he loves me, he ain't trying to mess with you, whatever, whatever. Typical story, unfortunately, of a kid when they're molested or whatever, or raped or whatnot, and they're not believed. Like, it was like, kind of like, she, I can't even say she thought I cried wolf, because why would I lie about something like that? Or why would I just randomly say something like that? You know what I'm saying? So, um, like I told her and she didn't believe me, so I felt some type of way. And, um, but my uncle overheard, and he, voiced it to my aunt, and they all went, and it was a whole big argument. Like, they kicked him out, and he's like, oh, I'm a godly man, I'm a Christian man, I wouldn't put my hands on nobody, blah blah blah. But you did, you know what I'm saying? And again, why would I lie about that? Like, like I said, I rarely talk as a kid, so the fact that I tell you that this man, this grown ass man, put his hands on me, and you don't do anything as my mom, I'm really feeling some type of way. And so, like, my aunts and my uncles kicked him out, and lo and behold, my mom went with him. Um, so like I was hurt, because I was like, basically I was molested in, some way, shape, or form, and you just went with the guy that molested me. Like, okay, because that really tells me how much you actually care about me. And um, like after that, I was kind of over it, and so I went with my grandparents again. Like, I went to go stay back with my grandparents, and um, while I was over there, I didn't know if she had left dude or not, but I went to go stay with them after that. And also I went over there because the time frame that I was over there at my aunt's house, I was being beat like almost every day, if not every other day, or some for some retarded reason, by my aunt, or one of my aunts or whatnot. Um, and I mean, it was crazy. Like, it was me and my female cousin, one of my other cousins. I'm not gonna name any names or whatever. They know who they are, but it was me and one of my other cousins that were beat like all the time for no specific reason or whatnot, just because it seemed. And in her eyes, she was like, she's disciplining us for doing stuff. But I mean, for example, uh, one of my aunts told us to go get my brother from his friend's house. His friend's house was down the street. It was night. And so, we went together, of course. We got my brother, came back home, and my aunt that was beating us or whatever was sitting in a seat, and she was like, where are we all? And we told her that, our aunt told us to go get my brother. My aunt flat out denies that she said anything or whatnot. And what happens? We get in trouble. We get beat. And I'm like, okay. So at this time, I want to say I'm around like maybe 12. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm tired of being beat all the time. Like, I mean, it was to the point where I was like, if something happened to me or whatever, or like, I called CPS or 911 or whatever, just so I would be believed. Like, I was literally taking pictures of my bruises and things like that. And like, I have to this day, because my aunt, she denies that she did anything wrong, you know what I'm saying? But to this day, I have photos in a photo album that I can bring out at any point if need be, that have like these pictures in there. Now, why I put them in a photo album, don't ask me. I don't know. I was a kid when I made these photo albums, whatever. But I put these photos of these bruises that I had in this photo album, so I still have that to this day. So this one particular day, I got I was getting in trouble for something. I don't remember what I did, but it was just me. And I went out to, I got away from her in my room, ran out to the car, got in the car. The neighborhood kids were out there, and so they told her where I was. And, I was able to finagle my way out of the car and back into the house. I locked the door to my room and was halfway, like, out of my window, to get away from her. And she broke my door down. Like, do you know how mad you have to be as somebody, like, to break the door down? Like, I mean, like, full-blown ninja kick. She got in my room and, like, pulled me back in through the window. And like I said, I was so tired of being beat for no reason at this point in time. And then, in the black household, again, I don't know if this is, in any other households or whatever, but in the black household, is you always gonna hear some black kid like, "You not my mom, you not my dad, like, don't put your hands on me, blah blah blah," stuff like that. Don't talk to me like that. You're not my mom, you're not my dad, whatever. So, I got tired of it because she wasn't my mom or my dad, and therefore I took matters into my own hands or whatever. And so when she went to swing and hit me, I like I got like a gut kick in and like knocked the wind out of her. And when she doubled over trying to catch her breath, I took the belt from her and started beating her with it. And it was like, well, how do you like it? You know what I'm saying? Like, you doing all this mess to me. How do you like getting beat like that? Like, for no reason or whatever. And then, I ran out of the house and, I called my mom initially and told her what was going on. And she came. It was a big argument again. I remember I told her that, it was just me being beat out of, her kids that were there. She took me and my older brother out of the house after the argument, whatever. And I don't remember where my brother went, if he went back with her or whatnot, but I ended up back at my grandparents' house. So um, I was over there, um, and this was going into the summer of like '02. Wait, no, the summer of '03. It was going into the summer of '03. And, after the school year was over with, my mom had called me, um, on the house phone. You know, y'all don't know nothing about the house phone right now, but, in this generation, but my generation knows about the house phone. So, my mom had called me and was like, she didn't say that she was still with dude, but she was like, she wanted to be a family again, that I want to come live with her. My brother was coming and all this, like we were going to be a family again, make it work. And again, as I've said this whole video, all I wanted to do was be with my mom. Since I couldn't have both of my parents together, all I wanted to do was be with my mom. So yes, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm down. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I kind of explained things to my grandparents, who spoke to my mom and was like, well, if that's what I want to do, then fine, they'll let me. So my mom comes to the house to pick me up. First of all, my mom was small, okay? Like, my mom used to be a itty bitty. When she came to the door to get me, I was like, who the heck is this? Like, she had gained so much weight, and I'm not trying to body shame or anything, but like, I didn't recognize who she was. And I'm like, what's really happening? Like, why are you so big? Like, how are you so big? And it's not even been, a whole 6 months since I saw you last, And she was like, some medicine that she was on that blew her up like that. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. But, I went with her that night, and I was wondering why we didn't pick up my brother. And she was like, he's coming, he'll be here in the next week or so. And I was like, okay. But unbeknownst to me, that was probably like the worst decision that I made, to go with my mom at that point. Because like I said, I didn't know that she was still with dude, but he had bought a house in like this country ass city called Oxford here in North Carolina. To this day, I don't like anything called Oxford because of this experience. But we go to Oxford with dude, and it was literally hell on earth. Like, I hadn't seen my mom get beat before, but when Larry came into the picture and we moved down there, it's just like it was a whole new ball game. Like, he's so Christian, but he was beating the living shit out of her. at any chance. Um, like, I mean, I didn't really know too many people in the neighborhood or whatnot, and like I said, I've always been shy, so I didn't really go out to meet anybody or any of the other kids. So um, I was usually in the house. But when I was outside or whatnot, whenever I would come back to the house, if my mom was up and walking around, it was an okay day. But if I came in the house and she was laying on the couch or something like that, like, I know that he had beat her. And it was to the point where, he, in order for us to not be able to escape and get away or tell anybody what was going on, like, he would legit unplug the house phone. Like, when I say the house phone, you had a plug in the wall that you would, plug the phone up to or whatnot. Literally, the phone with the cords. To the young kids, if they're watching this or whatever, the phone with the cords is the one I'm talking about. He would unplug the phone from the wall, wrap that up, put it in the room with him. He'd take the car keys, put it in the room with him. So basically, we didn't have a way to call for help. We didn't have a way to call for anybody to come get us. We didn't have access to the car. And at this time, like I said, I'm 12, about to be 13 in the fall. And I didn't know how to drive. So, like, what is going to happen? And, like, my brother did end up coming up there, but he was only there for like a few days. And, he was crying and saying that, he couldn't deal, whatever, whatever. And I don't remember who came to pick him up, but somebody came and picked him up. Now, before I continue with this story, let me just explain how warped my mom's side of the family is. And I don't know if it's a mental thing or what the case is, but my mom's side of the family has this whole mentality that if I say something happened the way that it did, then that's what happened. It's not like reality. Like, it's what I said happened, and then that goes around the family, and that's what happened, not reality. And so they said, like, the story that they put out in the family is that my uncles came down there after finding out about my mom getting beat or whatever, and came down there and rescued us. And oh my gosh, they were Captain Save-A-Ho, and they came in there and saved us from this dude that was gonna kill us. Me, my mom, and my brother. That's the story that they put out there. That is not what happened. Like I said, I don't remember who came and picked my brother up, but if that's what they're saying from when they picked him up or whenever they went back to go get my mom, I don't know. But that was not the story of them rescuing us. What happened is I ended up getting in my first fight in school. And I mean, like, of course I've had fights before, but this was my first official fight on document in school. And I was upset because I knew that I would have to be home when, my escape was, going to school pretty much. And the reason that I got into the fight was stupid. And so pretty much it was like a race thing, because down there is like, predominantly white. So I went to a predominantly white high school, JF Webb, for maybe a month or so. And I was in ROTC, and there was this white girl that, I befriended at school, and some of the black kids in ROTC didn't like it. One was the same size as me, one was like 3 times my size, and they tried to jump me in the hallway, and I ended up winning the fight. But of course I was suspended for like 3-4 days before getting in the fight, so I would have had to be home during all of this. And I mean, when I say the fights at home were bad, I mean, I don't know how my door withstood him not breaking into it, because they would get into fights, and my mom would come into my room and, you know, lay in the bed with me and you know, pray and, you know, okay, everything's gonna be okay. Like, don't be scared. Everything's gonna be okay or whatever. And yelling at him to leave us alone and all this stuff. And dudes swinging like butcher knives under my door, like trying to cut whatever or whoever. If somebody was standing there, like he would cut himself and like bleed outside my door and stuff. And like, look at what you made me do. Like, you know, all this crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, thank God the door withstood him or whatever, because even though he mainly came after her, who's to say if he wouldn't have killed her that he wouldn't have came after me next, you know? Like, I had accused him excuse me, I had accused him of groping me, which was the truth. But you know, I don't know if he took that out on my mom for whatever reason. I don't know what caused him to beat her. I just know that he was not a man. That's a little boy status or whatever, because any boy that puts his hands on a woman is not a man. So, um, you know, I'm fearing for my life. Like, I gotta be home for 3 to 4 days with this nonsense. And so, after I got home after the fight, I told my mom that we have to go. Like, I came up with a game plan in my head. Like, uh, I'm gonna get the keys, because some days he would leave the door unlocked when he would go to sleep or whatnot, whenever he would take the phone and stuff off the hook. Because if he took the phone, like, if he took the phone off the wall and took the keys in the room, it was a bad day. Like, he was going to beat her at some point during the day. Um, so this particular day, you know, he left the room door unlocked. So I told my mom I was going to sneak in there, get the keys, and we were going to go. So my plan was to push the car out of the driveway, you know, park it in the street, and get my mom out of the house. And I don't know where we were going to go, but we were going to get the hell away from Dodge. You know what I'm saying? We got to get away from this dude, because he's going to kill us. Or you. So I did that. He went to sleep. I gave it, you know, a little bit to make sure that he was actually asleep. Went in there, got the keys, got the car out of the driveway onto the street. I cranked the car beforehand, and I moved it out of the driveway because I didn't want him to hear me cranking it up. So I cranked the car up, went back to go get my mom. My mom is like moving hella slow, and I'm like, we're trying to get away from this dude. Like, why are you moving so slow? And it's like, I don't know if it was the mentality of I'm afraid to leave, or, you know, something to happen, or, you know, this is just what I deserve type deal, and I'm just gonna stay here. I don't know what her mentality was at the time. All I know is I was trying to save us, and we had to get the hell out. So I, like I said, I cranked the car up and went back to go get my mom, told her to come on. She's coming out or whatnot. She's going around the car to the passenger side. I jumped in on the driver's side. Like I said, I did not know how to drive, so I don't even know how to get the car in gear, whatever the case may be. All I know is I have, you know, runaway syndrome. Like, we have to get the hell out. So as soon as I get in the car, I'm trying to, you know, get the car out of gear and everything and put it in drive so that we can go. And apparently, somehow, some way, he heard what was going on, and he comes out. And so I'm in full-blown panic mode now, and I'm trying to get out of the house. I mean, trying to get the car on the way so we can go. I finally get it in gear as soon as he's about to reach the car, but he's able to grab the door before I'm taking off. And so I'm trying to fight to get him off my door and everything. And so, you know, I'm trying to concentrate on driving and getting him off my door. I ended up stopping the car to get him off, and at that point that gave him the advantage to go around to the passenger side. He drug my mom out and started wailing on her. And I'm like, you know, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of you hitting on her. So he starts, he's wailing on her. I run around to the side and straight up sucker punch. Like, right in the face. Bop. 1-2 hitter or whatever. And so he's bleeding in the mouth now and, calling me a little bitch and all this. And you knocked my tooth out, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm telling my mom, like, get the hell up. I'm trying to get her up and put her in the car and then run back to the driver's side. And he was able to reach in and get the keys. So now we're stuck. And I'm like, this is going to be the night that I die along with my mom because we tried to escape. And, like, thankfully, I would say my prayers were answered and nothing happened afterwards. But, my mom stayed in the room with me that night, and I told her pretty much I can't deal with this anymore. Like, I'm stressing and I'm going through all of this stuff with you, like, I'm a kid. I should not have to be dealing with this. And so, um, a lot of the family was always like, me and my brother grew up uh, faster than our time. And, that's truly believable because we had to do adult things because we didn't have an adult there to guide us or to be there to protect us as kids. So we had to. And so, that next day, I called my grandparents. Um, I believe I was able to go back to school afterwards, and um, when I got up to the school, I told them that I needed to make a phone call. I went up to the office. I called my grandparents and I told them to come get me. I was like, I can't deal. So I go. My grandparents, they came and got me. I begged my mom to come with me because I was like, I honestly, the way that I've seen everything go down, I don't think that I'm going to see you again. Like, you need to come with me. Like, I really think this dude's going to kill you. She said, no, go on, whatever. She could take care of herself, whatnot. So I left, and the whole time I'm thinking, my mom is going to kill herself. Like, well, not kill herself, excuse me. She's going to be killed. Um, but she did try to, she attempted at one point. And I actually caught her before this. Um, and it was because of Larry. He told her that we as her kids didn't love her anymore. So without that, she tried to take her own life. Thankfully she didn't, but um so dude had her mentally fucked. um but I left from there, ended up registering at Dudley, and I was down there. Best time, you know. I was able to put all that stuff behind me. Like I said, I was living with my grandparents, and I went to Dudley, got on the volleyball team, got in the ROTC, all these activities and stuff. And in volleyball is where I met my best friend, who is currently still my best friend of almost 20 years now. We met in volleyball. Both of us were kind of shy or whatnot, but turned out that not only did we have volleyball in common, but we both did music and sang. And that's how we ended up meeting at the back of the bus, minding our own business. I heard her singing. I just happened to chime in for whatever reason, I felt compelled to. And we had like perfect harmony. And so it just like hit off from there. And from there, it was on and popping. And like I told her, I was like, I'm the oldest girl out of all the siblings. So I was like, I've always wanted an older sister. I've always wanted a big sister. And she was like, I'll be your big sister. Now, mind you, it's funny that she said that because she's a month younger than me. But even with being a month younger, like, I don't know, at the time she had like this more mature mind. Like, I was mature, but she had an even more mature outlook at stuff or whatever. So I was like, heck yeah, I got a big sister now. That's what's up. Um, and I went to, uh, I started a girl group with her. With it was my best friend and another friend of mine that I met when I was working at Emerald Point. And I don't remember what happened to my friend, but she ended up dropping out, and somehow my cousin was able to join the group. So we started recording with um, this producer who was my aunt's boyfriend, who also was the first guy that put me in the studio when I was 11. That was my first time in the studio. He and his cousin heard me playing on my keyboard and singing one day, and he said that he would produce me. His cousin would be my manager, and it just went from there. Um, and that was mad fun. We had like a little girl group. We were called Desire. We went from like 3TG, kind of like trying to be like 3LW, I guess, but 3TG stood for Three Teenage Girls, and then we ended up changing our name to Desire. And we had like this hype ass song called House Party that became like our biggest single. And I was putting out our demo because we were recording to put a demo out, and I got a hit back from this record label that was based in Raleigh, and they said, they want to sign us, like, come up here, blah blah blah. They told us about all the contracts and what we were gonna get and everything. It was dope. And at this time, thankfully, my mom had left Larry, and she was staying with my grandmother. So I had asked her if she would take me, you know, to me and my cousin to me, my cousin, and my friend anyway, to this record label so that we could, get our deal. And so she said, yeah. I don't remember who all went with us, but we got out there, had a good time, whatever. They told us about the contracts and all this, and they gave us a moment to look the contract over, be able to get in contact with an entertainment attorney and all this stuff. And when it started clicking that there was going to be money involved, it's like my mom was like, ding, oh, so I'm gonna get some of that when you get famous. And I'm like, no. Like, I did this, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't help me with any of that or whatever. Like, this is something I did. Like, why would I give you money? Like, I know that that's like the first thing that boys do, like NFL players and people like that. Oh, well, I'm gonna give my mom a house, I'm gonna give my mom a car, or whatever the case may be. Like, I would get you something, but I'm not giving you a portion of my money because you feel entitled to it. Um, and so, she kind of felt some type of way about that. And we stayed with them and did our thing for a few years and ended up disbanding about 4 years later. And that's when I went solo, and I went back to that same company, and they were like, I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. Initially, like I said, I always sang, like, all my songs. If you listen to all my songs, like from when I was a kid until now, especially, like, you always hear that I'm writing about, my thing is I write about things that I know. So I write about like life experiences or what I want to happen or whatever, or what I wish would have happened in the situation, whatever. But I tell a story in every song. So I was told at one point by this same label, like, rapping is not for you, you know what I'm saying? Like, and all this stuff. And I was kind of hurt or whatnot because I was like the rapper slash singer of the group and all this stuff. But I don't know, it was kind of like a switch when I was 17 and I wrote like my first solo song called Let's Chill. And I went to the studio with them, and they were like, yo, I don't know who, like, what happened to you or whatever, but damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole 360. Like, what? And then, the next year, I started writing some more songs and recording with them where I was rapping, and they were like, yo, like, when I say like your raps and everything's like smooth, and it's just been like butter from there. Like, I'm not gloating or anything like that, but I'm just saying I've been from the bottom and built myself up, you know what I'm saying? So um I did that again. I still do it to this day as an escape. And um like from there it was just like a whole mature thing. And then I told at that point when I was 17, I came out as bisexual. And I told my mom and my dad first. My mom, she said that she was okay with it, but then, next thing I know, I'm getting a whole lecture from my grandmother, or my maternal grandmother, who, she's one of them, like, real, oh, I got a connection, like, I mean, direct line to God, like, and she's lecturing me on, how I'm gonna go to hell and all this other stuff because I like girls and all this other stuff, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, please, please, I'm good. Like, I'm good on it. You ain't gotta go into all that. It ain't gonna change my mind. Um, and like recently, my mom was like, "Oh, I have to be okay with it in order to be, in line with you, whatever." And I'm just like, okay. Like, so in a way, she doesn't really deal with it, but she's okay with it, whatever. My dad, like, uh, at the time, he had just met his paternal, excuse me, my dad had just met his biological sisters because he was adopted. So they were like, oh, well, we don't do that gayness and whatever in our family or whatever. So my dad disowned me at that point in time. He says he doesn't remember doing it or whatever, but again, I have receipts for all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not like you could tell me that this didn't happen because I have the receipts to back it up. You know what I'm saying? Um, but uh, he disowned me. But then, like, a little while later, he's like, "Oh, you want to go check out some girls together and stuff like that?" Like, it was real weird. Um, but from then on, like, it's just like, I don't know. I can't even tell you. Like, it's just like shit went left. Like, I was living my best life. Um, and I got pregnant when I was 18. Had my daughter when I was 19. And like, she was the glue. Like, having my daughter, she doesn't know it. She doesn't recognize it. I'm looking at her now, but she doesn't know it or whatever. But she was the greatest gift that I've ever received because it's like she mended the rift between my grandparents and my parents. Excuse me, my grandparents and my mom, and like, it's just like everything that was going wrong at the time. Like, my baby uh, mended all of that, and so I have no way of thanking her, but I knew from a child that I always said to myself I would never subject my child to the same stuff that I had to go through as a child. So that was a vow that I made as a kid, and I've tried my absolute best to stick by that and be the best mom that I can be. Um, but after my daughter was born, um, like, all was well for the most part. I did have a breakdown point, and like, it was another attempt because at the time all I was doing was kind of like partying and drinking and smoking. That was like life. And it just seemed like life wasn't going anywhere. So um, I asked for a sign, like, if it's a reason for me to be here, like, give me some sort of sign. And I know my nana, who was my grandmother on my dad's side, she had always told me about church and, you know, reach out to so and so if you need anything or whatever. You know, this group called Campus Ministry at church, like you need to reach out to them, whatever. And this particular night, I did reach out to them, and you know, I knew it was around homecoming time, and they were You said where was this? Where was what, the beatings and everything? That was in Oxford, if that's what you're asking about. But I had called them, and this was around like GHO, like the greatest homecoming on earth, A&T's homecoming, whatever. And I had called and I asked, you know, if they had any spaces left in the parade. Excuse me. And they said they had exactly one space left. And I was like, you know, seriously, like, how is it that, you know, it was only so many spaces that were available, but how is it that I called at the right time where they had exactly one space left? So I took that as my answer, that, you know, I was put here for a reason. So I got into Campus Ministry. They were doing this, I don't know, some type of dance thing that they were doing. They called it a praise break, but it was just like dancing to instrumentals. And I was like, well, okay, like, that's cool and all, but that seems like a little boring. Like, you just dance to an instrumental, like, okay. But so I wrote a quick little verse to, you know, the song that they were dancing to, which just happened to be Hustling by Rick Ross. And I wish I remembered the rap that I did for it, but I went back and I showed it to them like the next day, and they were like, "You wrote this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "When?" And I was like, "Last night," you know. And it was like, that is crazy. And it went from there to me becoming the resident rapper at my church. Like, I was literally taking songs that were like popular songs that were on the radio at the time, and revamping them as gospel songs, and it took off. Like, I thought it was so cool. But you know, like my grandparents, who didn't really think, you know, they was like, oh well, my music and stuff is, oh, don't concentrate on that or whatever, you know, music ain't gonna get you anywhere, concentrate on school and blah blah blah, you know. Like, it's just like when I started the gospel rap, that's when like they were like, oh, I guess you can make it somewhere with this music thing and all this stuff. Because, you know, I made so many CDs and stuff, and, you know, all of my CDs sold out like within the week or two. I was like, that's so dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was so hype about that. And like, I went around, like, I went to my church and like different activities and all this stuff, like doing raps, like gospel raps. I showcased at first at my church. This was like after the initial time that I wrote for him. Like, the church got to see what I was doing when I went to I put in this idea of at Campus Ministry for us to do a family fun day, where basically you go around the neighborhood and you know, invite people to come out to the church for, like, you know, kind of like a fair type deal, but without all the rides and stuff. But, you know, we had vendors there, we had performers and all this stuff. So I came out and I did a rap to Victory by Kiara Sheard, and everybody was like mind blown. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had Bashawn Mitchell come to our church one time, and I performed with him. I performed with him as a background singer, but at the same time I did a one of my songs there, and, you know, I was running off the stage so I could go, you know, do my wardrobe change, and he was there, and he was like, you know, he had hugged me. I didn't know who was hugging me at the point, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know, you did a great job, and I was like, yo, thanks, you know, it's cool. And so, you know, things were going good after that. I got in a relationship with this girl. She knows who she is. I was with her for 6 years. Off and on. I'm gonna be honest. I like, for those that are trying to come over to the LGBT side, like, it's not as easy as you would think that it would be. Like, oh, men are doing me dirty, whatever. Like, so I'm just gonna go for a girl. Like, nah, it's the same deal that you gotta deal with. But this girl, she was like my first love, but uh, I don't know. It wasn't. It was reciprocated, but it wasn't. And you know, I had relationships in between, and uh, but it was based upon, like, I tried to do better than I saw with my mom and them, and like, I kept all of this stuff bottled inside. Like, I still, to this day, like, if I go to a party or something with my wife, like, I'm literally, like, if I don't know anybody, especially, I'm the creeper on the side of the wall that's like sitting there scoping out everybody until I feel comfortable. Like, and everybody's like, feeling uncomfortable, like, what's wrong, like, silent killer type. Like, but um I finally got the nerve, over time, to say what I needed to say about what I wanted to say, and kind of like became blunt. Like, I've always been told, even as a kid, that I had like a I don't give a fuck kind of attitude. And like, it's not that I didn't, is because, like, that's what was instilled in me, that what I said didn't matter. So therefore, whatever you say doesn't, and I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But there were only two people exactly that could do or say something that would hurt me. Well, three in a sense or whatnot. And two of them are gone. That was my grandparents. The other one was my daughter. Like, and my grandmother passed in 2013. My nana passed in 2013, and I was real broken from that, because she was in and out of the hospital, and in her last days. And I felt really, really bad because, although I grew up and I started to appreciate them more and let them know that and show that as well, all that I did as a kid was coming back. I really wanted to be there for her, but mentally, and like, I don't know, I couldn't really be there for my nana when she needed me. And like, I'm a real germaphobe, so, like, she had things going on that I was like, oh, I can't touch that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be a part of that. And I felt like really, really bad because she had taken care of me my whole life, and I couldn't even take care of her for a little while. And when she ended up in the hospital, the last time, she was in there about 2 weeks. We went there on Halloween. My daughter was dressed up as Doc McStuffins, and she went. I remember vividly. She went up to her and held her hand and was like, I'm gonna make you better. I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna make you better. And she, like, gave her a kiss. And, like, that really, like, I wish it were that easy. But I remember specifically, I told my grandpa, because at this time she's on life support, and I told him, I said, don't do anything and not let me know. But my grandpa was kind of like the one where, I don't know, I guess he wanted to protect me, but he protected me too much. Like, he wanted to avoid me having to go through whatever. So he would tell me about stuff like hella late, or do something and he would tell me about it hella late. So this particular day I was at work, and I kept having this inkling to go to the hospital. Like, you need to get off work and go to the hospital. Just go to the hospital. And so I told my supervisor I had to leave, um, and ran out of work to my car. And I kid you not, I didn't even get to close my door all the way before I got a call um, from our campus ministry pastor at the time, giving her condolences. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, why? And she was like, you know, your grandmother just passed. I thought you knew. And I'm just like, I was broken. Um, I got to the hospital, you know, thinking that, you know, it wasn't true. And, you know, sure enough, my grandfather had pulled the plug, and, you know, she was gone. Um, so it was like a piece of me was missing, you know. Um, because it's like, in a sense, I had just lost my mom, you know. Um, and afterwards, you know, I wrote her a song for her funeral. I wrote a song for her, and I performed it at her funeral. Um, and, you know, my mom was there. Of course, my dad was there because it was his mom. But, um, you know, my mom was like, you know, after the funeral, oh, are you gonna write a song for my funeral? You know, when I go, you know, you gonna write a song for me? Like, my brother got a tattoo of her name. Oh, you gonna get my name tatted on you too? Like, why are you like this? No, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have anything against you or whatever, but I was way closer to them than I am to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been through a whole lot with you. Like, not saying that all the times that I was with her were bad, because they weren't. Like, I've had, like, growing up or whatever, the times that I was with her, sometimes only times that things were really really good with us is when she didn't have a boyfriend. Like, when she was by herself, we were straight. I mean, going on family trips, like going to the amusement parks and stuff, riding roller coasters, going to the park, having cookouts, like going swimming, all this fun stuff, going trick-or-treating, even though, you know, according to my maternal grandmother, we weren't supposed to be going trick-or-treating because it's the devil's holiday. Like, whatever, stuff like that. Like, you know, we were able to do stuff as a family. I'm not saying that we didn't have good times, but the majority of the time was not good. So, yeah, no, I considered my nana as my mother, and I lost her. So I got closer to my grandpa. And that's kind of where, at the same time, I started finding my voice. Um, and uh, I went to, um, you know, I went to my grandfather's house one time, and he, like, ripped me a new one. Now, this was getting close to the time where he was about to pass. Like, I want to say it was like a year or so before. Um, and so he was kind of starting to lose his mind a little bit. And I realized he kept calling me a boy, or saying, like, you know, things like, you know, sir, or young man, stuff like that. Like, you know, like stuff like referencing me as a boy, but, you know, I wasn't. I didn't know if he was doing it, you know, just to be an ass, or if, you know, he legit thought that, or what was going on or whatnot. But, you know, when I addressed him, like, he ripped me a new one, and basically told me, like, you know, he didn't like me being, you know, a lesbian, and all this other stuff. And I mean, he went in, and I was just like, bruh, if that's how you felt, why did you, like, sit here in my face and do all this extra mess? Like, I absolutely hate when people are fake with me. Like, do not be fake. I would much rather you be straight and upfront with me, versus being in my face, ha ha, and, you know, and you don't give two fucks about me, you know what I'm saying, in real life, and you talking junk about me behind my back. If you have any type of balls, you can say the stuff to my face, and that's what I do, you know. So, um, you know, I was hurt by that. I actually came home and cried, and I didn't talk to him for a good little minute after that, despite, you know, what had happened. Because it's like, right after he went off on me, it's like, something went off, and he came right back and was just like, oh, so you coming over here tomorrow? Nah, sir, that ain't how this goes. You know what I'm saying? But at the time, I didn't realize that he was losing his mind or whatnot. But um, I just know it was like the person that I cared for the most at that point in time went the hell in on me. So I uh dealt with that, and then like the following year, um like this was during COVID when all that happened or whatnot. But the following year, he went down real fast. I'm not gonna say what happened online or whatever, but there was an incident and he got hurt, and it kind of went downhill from there real fast. Um, and I was there for the entire time, taking care of him, helping to take care of him. Like, I actually moved right down the street so I could be closer if anything happened. And for a period of time, I was actually living in the apartment with him, um, taking care of him, and I was there when he passed. And like, I was hurt all over again. Um, like, I really didn't get a chance to mourn him because I had responsibilities, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to care for his estate. I had to clean up his apartment. I had to find out what I was going to do with his stuff. I had to figure out, keepsakes, or, if I was going to give something away. I had to plan out the funeral. And it was just a lot. So I really didn't get a chance to actually mourn my grandfather. But um, I'm going to say that both of my parents are money hungry people. And I'm not afraid to say it because I'll say it to their face. But they are money hungry people. So, like, they do whatever to get money, if need be, and all this. So, um, like, my it's been brought to my attention recently, anyway, that my dad is accusing me. Like, he's since blocked me. I don't know why. I don't really care or whatever, but I care about clearing my name because I don't have time for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying I've been the best person. I'm not saying that, I don't have my own flaws and stuff like that. I don't take responsibility for the things that I've done, because I definitely do. If I do something and I hurt somebody, or I do something out of the way where, whatever the case may be, I will, come clean and upfront with my flaws and, my apologies and things like that. Um, but I mean, I've been accused of stealing money from people uh, that were in different states, so I don't know how that works. Um, and this is people in my family, by the way. Um, I've been accused of being money hungry because of certain situations. And I want to say in the past 4 years, it has been purity shit until I decided to put my foot down and get away from the bull and all the chaos that is my family. Um, there's literally one person. Well, okay, I lied. There's like maybe, family wise anyway, on both sides, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 people that I speak to. Maybe 6. Like, I can count on my hand how many people I talk to from my family. And it doesn't bother me at all, because in my mind, it's like they're missing out. It ain't on me. You know what I'm saying? They're going to need me before I need them. So it doesn't even matter. But, um, like, for instance, I had to leave my daughter. That was the first time that I had to be away from her for more than like a weekend or a few days. And I was going to go better my situation at the time. And I went out to Arizona to go to school. Um, and, I had to work things out with my daughter's dad and explain to her at, at 6 years old that mama's gonna be back for you, and I love you, whatever. And that's tough, explaining that to a 6 year old. And of course I didn't expect her to understand everything or whatnot, but I wanted to let her know and instill that in her, that I was coming back for her, that I did love her. I wasn't neglecting my responsibilities. I wasn't trying to run away from my responsibilities or her. And nothing that was going on was her fault, because I know that's how I felt when my mom left. And I did not want to put her through that same thing. And like having to leave her, I mean, like, she cried her little heart out, and that was the single most hardest thing that I've ever had to do, was leave her with her dad for, about 3 months before I came and picked her up, and brought her to Arizona with me. That was the hardest decision that I ever had to make. But in my mind, I was bettering our situation for the future, so it was beneficial. Um, and so I went out to Arizona, got my degree in audio engineering and audio business, and 7 minors in different forms of audio. Came back and I was homeless. Before I even left Arizona, I was homeless, Like, I still finished and got my degree, but I was living out of my car, you know. Um, I have been through all of that, down at the bottom, had nothing, living out of my car, um, parking at truck stops for the night, and, washing up in the bathrooms at the truck stops and things of that nature. And it was at this point in time, uh, I didn't really tell my my grandfather or my mom about it at the time, um, because I was embarrassed. I'm supposed to be doing all this for us, and this is hindering me getting my daughter back on time, as planned and everything like that. So I didn't really say anything about it, but what little I did get, I sent back for my daughter, and I wasn't even expecting to get anything back from school. Um, I guess I was confused at what they said in regards to the financial aid that I received there. But, you know, I just happened to get a big refund back. And, that was a blessing in itself, because, I mean, I was living off of, Little Caesar's pizza for days on end. Like, I eat a slice a day, stuff like that. Um, but in this time frame, my mom had called and was fussing at me because at the time she was on my phone playing phone and gotten cut off. you know so she was fussing at me about that. I explained the situation, and she said, well, I didn't know that you were going through that or whatever. She was upset that I always went to my grandparents for everything, and she wanted to help. So I'm thinking, maybe she'll send a few dollars, maybe $20, $30 or whatever to help out. And it ended up being, a good size amount that she sent. And I'm thinking, she's actually being mom, you know what I'm saying? Like, she actually went through on her word. She did what she said she was going to. And then it turned around to, no, that was a loan or whatever, I gave you, instead of her giving me the money. And when that was informed to me, I told her that, I wish she would have told me, that I wouldn't have taken it, because like I said, I'm homeless. I'm living out of my car. It's not that much that I have, to my name, especially to pay you back, what you just paid me. And so, again, with the mentality of my mom's side of the family, it went around, and everybody is blowing, because I got one of the little free uh, phone service phones, and everybody's blowing me up, asking me how, why I steal the money from my mom and all this other stuff, because I wasn't able to pay it back to her in the time frame that she was asking. And I'm like, I'm in Georgia at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom is in North Carolina. The money was wired to me. Like, I don't really understand how I could steal money that I didn't even expect to get, you know what I'm saying? So I went through that whole ordeal. And then, my grandfather, he told me that his cancer came back. And I immediately had a flashback to my nana, and I was like, I'm not gonna not be there again if something happens. So that's when I came home, and I needed help getting back home. But my family wouldn't help me because of the situation that my mom had put out there about me. um I went through that, had to somewhat get back on good pages with everybody. um and it was just awkward from there. So that's one incident. Then in 2020, I had a falling out with one of my cousins and my aunt. uh we had it out, I mean, something serious. Again, they went into the family, and talked dog shit about me, and that I was money hungry and I was trying to steal money from them and all this. Like, it was a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, that's not even the case, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we were trying to manipulate you or take money for whatever reason, then I'm pretty sure we would have done a really good job at doing that. But we didn't even care about the situation. The situation was over before she even went to the family about it. So I don't understand how that got out of the way. But it's just like things just kept happening. And I want to say it was in after my grandfather had passed. The following year, I ended up back in the hospital because, again, I was very overwhelmed with everything that was going on. I never got a chance to mourn my grandfather. I was going through a lot of things in regards to his estate and trying to get the proper paperwork, and arguing with family members, and oh well, my dad, like, where's my share of the money and all this other stuff. Like, it was a whole lot going on, and I'm just like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about you know whatever else or whatnot. Like, I want to get things straight with his estate and affairs and things like that. But at the same time, like, I don't have a fucking chance to breathe. Like, I don't have a chance to truly mourn my grandpa. And things just kept happening. It was just one thing after another. I'm getting in arguments, I'm getting accused of stuff, I'm getting all of this backlash, and I was done for the third time. My wife sat and talked to me for a good little minute, and when I say a good little minute, I mean hours, and I said nothing to her. But the fact that she sat there with me in the dark and just talking to me to keep me here mentally, um, you know, I never wanted to expose that to my kid, but I mean, she knows about some things or whatnot. But again, like I said, my baby has blessed me and saved me in so many ways, and she don't even know it. Like, so I ended up in the hospital. Uh, in my mind, while I was in there, I have to get out because I'm the primary person of the household, so I have to take care of us. Can't do that if I'm in the hospital. So I made it so that I would be able to get out, and I was forced back in a week or two later. um and I met some great people in there. um got my stuff together, ended up in therapy. uh, got with one of my therapists, and after speaking with them, uh, I came with the proposition to finally address my parents as to how I feel about everything, and how and why I consider my grandparents as my parents, and just get everything out in the open and give them the ultimatum, because I said my piece, like, give them the ultimatum as to where if they want to be a part of the life picture that is Shay, that they can be. If not, oh well. um and my mom let the ball down on that. She didn't even come. It was like I was uh I told both of my parents at the same time. I scheduled it initially for them both to be there, and uh, together, and I just addressed them both at the same time. But my mom didn't want my dad to be, or didn't want to be in the same room with my dad, so I accommodated her, as I always do, thinking about other people, not myself. I made the visit separate, and my mom, it's like she came up with every excuse as to why she couldn't come. Like, oh, I can't find a ride. Oh, it's not going to be. And mind you, the year prior to this, I had actually stopped talking to my mom altogether because we had a big disagreement about, what happened in my household. Because my mom has stayed with me a few times now, like in my house. Um, a few times now, and I felt that it was selfish how she was acting at that point in time, and we had outs on that. And so with that, I hadn't talked to my mom in over a year, because after that mishap and everything going on again, it went to the family. Everybody was coming at me sideways, like I was the problem, I'm the issue, and I'm ungrateful, and I'm selfish and all this other stuff. um but nobody ever turns the mirror on themselves, so I don't really understand that. But um like, I did everything to accommodate my mom when it was my session. It was about me, and she didn't even come. But literally, that later on that week, it was my little sister's dirty 30, and my mom found a way to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you find a way to get places and do things that you want to do, and clearly you didn't want to hear me out. So um that was that. uh she didn't come, and I left it at that. Like, I stopped talking to her again. But with my dad, ended up coming to his. We had a nice little weekend. Went out to eat, talked some more, said that we were gonna try and get on a better page and actually try and grow some type of relationship, because we never had one. But you know later that year, we were supposed to, my wife and I were supposed to go to my dad's house this same year, for Thanksgiving. And we were, already on the road to where he stays. And sorry about that. We were on the road on the way to where he stays, and he just kept giving these weird vibes. Like, he really didn't want us to come. Like, I mean, it was everything from, oh, well, you're coming too late. Well, why don't you come tomorrow? Or, why don't you, just come for a day and then go back, or whatever, whatever. Like, we had planned, I mean, taking off work and everything, we had planned to be down there for a few days, like maybe 3 or 4 days, again, so that I could kind of actually start to grow some type of relationship with my dad. Because um he my youngest sibling is about to turn 18, I believe. And like, she's asked me questions over time about, my dad, and I can't answer them because I never knew him. I didn't have the same relationship that she does because she actually stays with him. So we were trying to change that narrative, and he was just real weird and giving off weird vibes. So we didn't go, and I didn't hear anything from him after that. Like, I'll hear from him every now and again on Facebook or something like that, but otherwise, I don't hear anything. And like, after my grandfather passed, it's like I really don't have anything to say to him, or really any type of connection to him, because my grandparents were the connection between us. Like, if it wasn't for them, I really wouldn't know dude. Like, I don't know him, but I wouldn't like really associate with him, if that makes any sense. So, um, like, since then, the relationship with my dad is ceased. Um, Everyone knows about Helene that came through. My dad was in the midst of that or whatnot, and I don't know what's been put in the atmosphere with him or whatever the case may be, but again, the defamation of my name and my integrity and everything is being put on the forefront because somebody's in their feelings. And I feel like if you're an adult, like, I'm an adult, but I'm your child, you know what I'm saying? But if you're an adult enough to talk junk and say something about somebody, you would have enough balls to say it to my face, which he does not. And so, for whatever reason, in the last like few weeks or whatever, he's blocked me, phone wise and on, social media and everything. Like, it's, and like I said, I'm not upset about that because I didn't know dude anyway, you know what I'm saying? So it's not hurting me, and it's more so that yeah, he's hurting himself, and um my little sister, who is trying to have some type of relationship with me, like, whatever. I don't know if he's telling her not to or whatever, but I don't talk to her now either, so he's hindering that relationship. But my mom, I eventually talked to her earlier this year, and gave my spiel that I was gonna do in my therapy session with her, and it was for no reason, because she basically said I was lying about everything that I just told you all. And my aunts and everybody was there, and they kind of triple teamed me and stuff, and like, I was upset and I was crying, but I think that they think that I was crying because of them, but I really was not. I was crying because of the situation. Like, I was irritated. Like, I was upset that once again the same shit that I went through as a kid was happening now, and I'm not being believed. I'm not being uh you know given any type of care or support, or hey, I'm sorry, I love you, I didn't mean to put you through that, anything. Like, it was just like, oh, victimizing. Like, oh, well, you're blaming me, and you're doing this, and blah, 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 whatever. And just as I said, the only time that I hear from her is if, she wants something. And sure enough, I have not heard from her since then. So, and afterwards, the family was just talking junk about me. So, I just wanted to clear the air and put the whole story into perspective as to what was going on. Um, as of right now, I am a two-time college graduate. I have 2 degrees, working on a third. I have a flourishing automotive business. I have a flourishing entertainment business. Like, my daughter is good. My wife is good. Like, we're good. We're healthy. Like, we have our own together. Like, so to those in the family or whatever that think that they're hurting me or whatever the case may be, I'm sorry that you're missing out on me living my best life, but that was your choice. So um, that's the truth about everything. That's my life. Um, Hopefully, what I went through and spoke about will help somebody else be able to speak out and speak up about their situation, or maybe help somebody else that has been in a similar situation to know that you do have a voice and you can speak up. So um, I hope you all enjoyed and be blessed. See you all on the next go round as far as music goes. So y'all be easy.